Thank you, my dear brother. I salute you. I salute each and every one of those who had the vision and determination to bring to bear serious scholarship and loving hearts to keep track of the plight and predicament of my precious Armenian brothers and sisters at this particular moment in history. As you know, I come from a people who has been chronically and systemically hated for 400 years and keep dishing out love warriors, who have been terrorized for 400 years and keep dishing out freedom fighters, who have been traumatized for 400 years and keep dishing out wounded healers. And so from one people, from one great people, from one world historical people, we in the midst of the American empire, I raise my voice, one voice, but my voice in deep solidarity to another world historical people, to a people who have been traumatized for over 2,000 years, but keep dishing out wounded healers, who have been hated chronically for over 2,000 years, but keep dishing out love warriors, who have been terrorized for over 2,000 years, but keep dishing out unbelievable freedom fighters. I'm talking about an Armenian people who go all the way back. And I want to just zero in on what this panel and what this conference is about. I want to begin with the very first words written in Armenian by Saint Mizrab Mashtak when he put down pen and paper and created the 36 letters and said, I want to begin with the words of the Solomon, the son of David in Proverbs, and say, to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to fuse together what will constitute crucial pillars for the very surviving and thriving of an Armenian people, which will be, on the one hand, the prophetic legacy of Jerusalem. It's rare in human history that one people's identity is so fundamentally shaped by the prophetic legacy of Jerusalem, focusing on a Palestinian Jew named Jesus, that Christianity that has served as oftentimes the very source of the persecution, the source of the subjugation, the source of the domination, but also the Socratic legacy of Athens, the willingness to raise the crucial questions of self, of context, of history, of memory, of reverence, of resilience, of resistance. And then the benchmark of the best of the great Armenian tradition, which is always to connect the roots, the R-O-O-T-S, to the R-O-U-T-E-S, the universalism, the internationalism. So the specificity of what it means to be an Armenian, rooted in the prophetic legacy of Jerusalem and Socratic legacy of Athens, is one in which we start at home in solidarity, but have always opened one's arms to the suffering of others around the world. This is a great gift. And let us not in any way downplay it at a moment in which neo-fascisms are escalating and intensifying all around the world, the tribal-driven authoritarian regimes all around the world, beginning, yes, in our own American empire and manifest in the Middle East, in Latin America, in Asia. We have so much to learn from my precious Armenian brothers and sisters who, through all of these years, in the annals of human history, have held on to that wisdom, held on to that hesed that our Jewish brothers and sisters laid out in Hebrew scripture, that loving kindness and steadfast love that highlights the orphan and the widow, the fatherless and motherless, the persecuted and the subjugated and the dominated. So it's not a question. It's not a question at all of hating any peoples. It's a question of hating peoples dominating, hating peoples exterminating, hating peoples occupying. It is moral and spiritual, rooted in a peoplehood. And let us be very clear. When you talk about the history, murder and mayhem and massacres, Madonna, Hamadir, genocide, Raphael Hemken, a Jewish brother, laying out the word in 1943, has in mind Armenian brothers and sisters tied to the Ottoman Empire. Yes, that history must not paralyze us, must not debilitate us, must not even blind us to the very humanity of the oppressors themselves. I love how you introduced that, my dear brother Seba, when you said, look, we're talking about all of the universalists, all of the internationalists who are in solidarity with oppressed people. We're not hating the brothers and sisters from Azerbaijan. Not hating the brothers and sisters from Azerbaijan. We're not hating the brothers and sisters from Turkey. We're not hating the brothers and sisters from the Ottoman Empire. We're hating domination and extermination and subjugation. Why? Because we ourselves are also capable of dominating others, of hating others, of traumatizing others. We get that from the very source of the Christian tradition that has been so much at the center of the Armenian project. But we refuse to be silent. We refuse to hold our tongues when our precious loved ones are being subjugated and dominated and exterminated, and we will ensure that their memory, that their witness, most importantly, their precious and priceless humanity will be affirmed. And so at the center of this conference, quest for truth, the condition of truth to allow suffering to speak. It will be the quest for justice. And justice is what love looks like in public, a love of truth, a love of beauty. Let us not downplay Armenian culture that has served as a source of so much rich resistance and resilience. The music, the paintings, the magnificent sculptures, and the beauty of the relationships themselves. So thank you so very much for giving me a chance to say a word. When I think of my Armenian brothers and sisters, I think of the great William Soroyan, and meant much of my own intellectual shaping. And I was blessed to know my dear brother Gregorian, Barton. I knew him at Brown. I knew him at New York Public Library. It makes a difference when you have concrete, tangible relations with brothers and sisters. Same is true with Brother Peter. I can go on and on and on of the magnificent overlap so that the solidarity is not abstract, but it is blood-soaked. It is tear-soaked. And yet we refuse to allow the lies and the crimes against the Armenian brothers and sisters to have the last words. So allow my very, very humble words of solidarity to be just the beginning of all the words to be spoken by these sophisticated scholars who are going to take us on a journey as we engage in the quest for truth and justice. Let those words be the last words as we engage in major solidarity across racial, across national, across gender, across sexual orientational lines of solidarity against any forms of vicious kinds of fascism, any forms of vicious kinds of Heron folk, populist, authoritarian regimes. But thank you, my dear brother, and you all in this grim moment. Don't get discouraged. Don't let anything dampen your fire. And as a Black man and as my connection with my Armenian brothers and sisters, I'm going to say it's a sacred fire that burns inside of you. And it burns in such a way that you'll tell the truth. You'll seek justice, not in the spirit of self-righteousness, but in the spirit of humility tied to a moral tenacity to ensure that never again, never ever again, the Armenian brothers and sisters have to forego the worst of their history, and the best of their history is something that they would then continue to give to brothers like me, to all of those who are willing to accept what truth and justice is all about.